Hello and welcome to the introduction to the new Toadstool Turnabout stamp set and Toadstool Dies, and these work seamlessly together. They also pair beautifully with the Mushroom Medley stamp and die set. So this is a turnabout that creates an adorable mushroom background panel. There's also a few individual stamps there, floral and mushrooms, that you can add. They also coordinate with the die set. The back of the packaging shows you what the design looks like when you stamp it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and 4 times. And I will demonstrate the stamping in just a minute, but I do want to show you a few panels that I've already stamped, show you the variety of color combinations. Here I use sorbet, stardust, parsley, and wildberry, and that makes a beautiful color combination. Here we have one where I stamped on grapefruit cardstock with sorbet and sea glass, white pigment ink, and grapefruit. And that gives you a whole different look, more subtle. Here we have another panel that I believe I used, was it nectar, eucalyptus, cayenne, and artichoke? I think those are the colors. And then lastly, I have kind of a tone on tone. I did this whole 4 turns with stardust ink onto a stardust panel. One of my favorites is a tone on tone. And then lastly, I did all 4 turns with white pigment ink onto, I believe that's eucalyptus cardstock. Sometimes I get eucalyptus and Tide Pool confused. But here is the Toadstool Dies. So there is a sentiment die with the shadow, and then you have all these little coordinating dies that go with the stamp in the Turnabout stamp set. And I've die cut these to show you what they look like. First you have that big sentiment die. It says hey, hi, hello, and there. And you could use these individual if you don't want to put it all together. I did a card where I only used the hi, or you could do the hello there. So you can mix and match that for different looks. You put them all together on that shadow backer, and they look good all stacked up on one another. Here I stamped the mushrooms first, and then I die cut them. And you could see with the die, there's a little extra room on the top of the mushroom stem. That's just giving you some room to glue the mushroom cap onto. So if you're a little confused why the die is larger or taller, that's to give you a little extra room to glue your mushroom together. Okay, so you got a tall mushroom and a shorter mushroom, couple of different blooms, and a couple different foliage options. So you got the stem. Again, it's got extra on the top to add glue, so you can glue your bloom on, and then a couple leaves that you can just kind of tuck in there. So you can really create some adorable combinations with all the stamps. Here's the Turnabout demonstrated. I already have it loaded in my jig. I have a panel of white cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. I inked up the Toadstool Turnabout with sorbet ink, rotate it to the second turn, and now I'm stamping it with parsley ink. And in between, I also do clean off my stamp if you're going to use a different color. So here we have parsley, stamps beautifully. Clean the stamp, rotate the jig, and then now I'm going to bring in stardust. So I'm going to ink this up. You could really get so many different color combinations depending on the colors that you choose. And if you want to stop at the 3rd turn, you don't have to fill in all the gaps if you like that bit of white space. I clean off my stamp, rotate the jig. The 4th and final pass, I'm stamping with wildberry ink, which is a very vibrant, juicy, dark, pinky, burgundy. How many adjectives can I use to describe wildberry? But it's definitely a punch. I love how this turned out. Here's a couple of projects that I've created using the Toadstool Turnabout for the background panels. I used the hey, hi, hello there word die, and I used those stamped mushrooms and blooms down on the bottom. Now the mushrooms in the Toadstool Turnabout are like smaller versions of those that are in the die set from the mushroom medley. So they're kind of like similar mushrooms, just different sizes. Here I just used that little hi. I love that, with that grapefruit panel on the back. So you can isolate that hi instead of using the whole sentiment together. And that is the introduction to the new Toadstool Turnabout stamp set and Toadstool Dies.